When we first started playing backgammon, the idea of using a clock wasn't really on our minds. But the more we started attending tournaments and watching them online, the more we realized that in some cases, they're actually absolutely essential. And although we still don't use them very often for casual games, they're a great way to add an extra challenge to your matches. Of course, if you're attending a tournament, then a little clock know-how is definitely recommended. So today we're discussing clocks. What are they? Why they're used, how to use them, common courtesies, and a few popular versions. So clocks can definitely be really intimidating. I know I was really intimidated when I first started using them, and to be honest, I still kind of am intimidated when using them. This adds like 10 times more stress, I must say. I know we're just using it for turn keeping, but I'm just like, ah! I need to play with the clock more. But my hope with this video is that it will take some of the mystery away from clocks, why we use them and all of that, and you'll feel more comfortable in using them, whether it's in your own home casual games or it's when you're at a tournament, that you'll feel prepared for that. Something I did want to add though is that the clocks that I'll be showing in this video, nobody gave them to me, nobody's sponsoring this video. I paid for them with my own money. They're clocks that I've seen in the tournament world, and I got my own because I was interested in having my own. So we'll be showing you those, and if you are interested in them, I'll have links below in the description so you can get your own. So clocks are exactly what they sound like, just a device that essentially keeps time for you and your opponent. And the reason you want to use them is that, for one, it keeps tournaments and gameplay moving. It's very easy to look at a position and really think it over and spend a ton of time doing it. And if you're playing super casual, that's not a problem. But if you're in a tournament that's lasting a day or 2 or 3 days, you got to keep things moving. So it helps in that regard, but it also is a skill-based thing because it's not just about finding the best move, it's about finding it in a timely manner. And at the end of the day, if you're playing with a clock and the clock runs out, game over, you lost. It doesn't matter if you're ahead or not. And I know that might be kind of scary. It certainly still is for me. My last tournament at the Viking Classic, one of the matches I got very low in my time, and it was a little bit anxiety inducing. And still to this day, Bry is not a fan of clocks because they are anxiety inducing. But the biggest thing we found for getting past that is to get your own clock and to do repetition, to get the reps in, to play with the clock, to have fun with it, and eventually it kind of just fades into the background, or at least that's the plan. It depends on the stakes for me. Sometimes it fades into the background and sometimes it doesn't, but that's the idea. Okay, so now you know what a clock is, but what are the time settings? What am I supposed to be using on the clock? If it's a casual game, you do you. Try it out, play, have some fun. But if you're talking tournament level, at the top level, open players, from what I've seen for the most part, you typically get 2 minutes per point with a 12-second delay. So for example, if you're playing a 5-point match, 5 times 2 minutes, you get 10 minutes. And your opponent gets 10 minutes, and there is a 12-second delay. So when I say delay, your opponent hits the clock, and you have 12 seconds to pick the dice up, throw them in your cup, shake them, and roll them out. Some people take the whole time. Some people take just a few seconds. The important thing is, though, is that you still want to get a proper shake. Yeah, 2 to 3 good shakes, and then roll them out onto the board. I know when I first started using the clock, it was very tempting to be like, okay, shoot, okay, pick them up, throw them down. But you definitely still want to get a full roll in. So that's at the open or the top tier division. Below that, you're typically still playing at 2 minutes per point, but typically then the delay gets a little longer. So for the Viking Classic, clocks were preferred. They weren't required, but if we use them, it was 2 minutes per point and 15-second delay. So you get a little bit more time to pick up the dice, shake them, roll them out, and then a few more seconds to kind of think the play through before your clock actually starts running. And of course, that's just the general standard that I've seen. It can vary, of course, especially if you start getting into speed gammon or super speed gammon where things are getting really fast. Then all bets are off and things can get really spicy in a hurry. I haven't played that, but to be honest, it's really fun to watch. So anxiety inducing for me though. So I did want to touch on a few common courtesies. Maybe you've seen this happen in a few live tournaments, or maybe you've never been to a tournament or used a clock before. When you're starting a game, typically everybody throws their single die out to see who goes first, like normal. And common courtesy is that if you're the loser, you start your opponent's clock. And another thing to take note of is if somebody's rolling and the die hops over to the other board, or it lands cocked, or basically it's not a legal move, they need to roll again. It's also common courtesy to reset your opponent's clock, and you do that simply by hitting their side and hitting your side again, and it sends it back over as shown. So I have 3 clocks in front of me here. These are all clocks I've used and enjoyed. And the reason I went with these, other than doing a little bit of research, these are clocks that I've seen at tournaments in person for the most part. This first one, the ZMF-II, this is probably my favorite clock. The biggest reason being the fact that it lights up, and it's very easy to see with a top-down shot, essentially. So I'm a big fan of that. And I'll be showing these individually set up and all that stuff, and you can kind of make your own judgment about what will suit you the best. This one right here, you might see, okay, there's nothing actually on here. You actually use your phone with this one, and I'll be showing that as well. This is the TEMPEST clock. Very cool. I haven't actually seen this in person yet, but I've seen it online a lot. Backgammon Galaxy uses it a lot, and I'm not sure if they were actually part of the production and getting these going or not, but that's where I first saw them, and it's a pretty cool idea. I'll show you in detail how that one works. And this last one here is probably the most no-nonsense clock. It's kind of I really like this one for the tactile feel of the rocker here. And this is also just a really good no-nonsense clock. I'll be setting up each of these clocks individually. We're going to be doing a 5-point match, 2 minutes per point with a 12-second delay. So each player will have 10 minutes on the clock with a 12-second delay. I've time-stamped each clock below, so feel free to jump around to whichever one you're interested in, or if you want to watch them all, that's cool too. All right, these leap clocks are very easy to set up. To turn it on, just on the bottom dip switch here. To get into the menus, you just hold down the center button and it'll start flashing. Hours, we're not worried about that, so we're gonna hit it again to go to the minutes. We're gonna do 10 minutes again here. So then you hit the center button to shuffle through. And the nice thing here is this will auto-complete for us to 10 minutes because typically you want it the same. You could change it if you wanted to. So we're gonna keep shuffling through. Bonus chess term, I believe, so we're not gonna worry about that. And then on to delay. We're gonna do 12 seconds. So we shuffle again, go down to 12, and it will auto-complete again here, which is awesome. Then we're all done here. That's all there is. There is sound on the next menu after that, and I believe that just chirps when you run out of time, but we're not gonna worry about that. So now to start it, you just hit the play button and it'll go whoever's the rocker's on, but if that's not the person it needs to go to, then you can just shuffle and you're good to go. And obviously as it gets to the bottom here, the actual time bank will start. We'll just show that quickly. And there goes the time bank. On to the next person. And of course, if you want to pause, there you go. And I'm not totally sure if there is a way to reset it back to the beginning. I just turn it on and off and it's good to go. All right, this one is very easy to set up. So we're launching the app here. To start off, you're gonna wanna go to the gear button down here. There's different versions of clocks you can do, chess, Go, Scrabble, but obviously we're playing backgammon, so that's why that's selected. You can change however many minutes you want. We're gonna keep going with 10, and of course your delay, we're gonna do 12. You can click there to go into more settings. This right here is like a tournament mode, but I believe that's just for the chess side of things. Make sure your phone's on airplane mode and that'll take care of that. You can also change the color of your clock. So we're gonna do orange because our crystalloid board is orange. You can change if you have analog or digital. We're gonna stick with digital, and this other stuff here, there's a little helpful menu basically to walk you through everything, which is nice, but we're not gonna worry about that. So now to actually use this clock, you bring it into the phone part here. You can see there's like a little slit you can slide it into, and you basically just kind of rock it into it. And then now, as you can see, it switches back and forth. So once you're ready to play, all you do is hit the play button there, and it'll start for whoever you want it to be on. So it'll switch back and forth, doing your delay. And of course, once your delay runs out here, your clock will start running per normal. You do have a little battery indicator up there so you can see where you're at battery-wise, which is definitely beneficial. And you make your turn, and you go to the next person. And if you do need to pause it for whatever reason, you just hit the delay button there, or there's a little pause button once the delay is over, and then you can start it back up and go right back into it. And of course, once the match is over, to reset it, you just hit the reset button up there and hit OK, and it resets it for you. So very simple and easy clock. So this clock, to turn it on, there's a little dip switch up top here. You turn that on, and basically it starts off, there's 3 different presets you can have. So I have 10-minute, I have a 2-minute, and I have a 14-minute. We're gonna reset the 10-minute clock. So to go into it, you just hold the center button here, and you get a little chime to say that you're in there. You can reset the time immediately here, but then you can't go back into the settings without holding this down. So we're gonna skip by this for now. So we have hours and minutes, we have minutes and seconds. That's what we're gonna come adjust here in a little bit, but we're gonna go to the menu. There's a lot of settings in this that we're not gonna worry about because you can use this clock for a bunch of different stuff. So I'm just gonna talk about the stuff that is important for backgammon. So we have delay here. Obviously this is important. So to enter the menu, you hit the center button here. You have constant. So when your delay is up, so if you have a 12-second delay, when it's your turn, it'll be a constant 12, 11, 10, 9 countdown. And once the delay is over, then it will go into your time bank. You have timer, which it never goes to your delay. You know it's on the delay because the 2 dots between your time will be flashing, but it never actually shows your delay. I'm not a fan of that one, but that's what that is. Flashing, I've seen some people use this where just when your delay is going, it flashes back and forth between what your time's at and what your delay's at. So you can take a look at that one. My favorite though is the C one. It starts at your delay, counts down, and then it goes into your timer. So that's what we're gonna stick to. So you hit enter just like that, and of course we can change our delay whatever we want. In this case, we're doing 12 seconds. So we hit enter to go through that. We're not gonna worry about that. Not worrying about that, or that, or that. Nope, nope. LEDs on or off. I leave them off, but that's just to turn these guys on up here. Signify turns. Sound, I leave that on because it's nice to hear that haptic sound. So once you've selected everything, you have to go to this play menu to go back to basically the main timer section. If you go past this, then it starts in the beginning again. So we are going to do that to go into our time here. So we want to do 10 minutes. And we shuffle through. Obviously, you can get really critical here and put seconds in if you want. We're not going to worry about that. And then here you can set whatever time you want as well. But since we're playing a tournament, we're going to set them both to 10 minutes. And you're good to go. See what I mean there? If you enter the time, then it automatically kicks you out and you can't make changes to the rest of the settings. So if you're wanting to do other settings, end time, do all the other settings first and then come back to time. So now we're set up to go, and if we're ready to go, people shake their dice, you start the clock for your opponent. And then it will go through, obviously just like any other clock. And we'll just let it count down. The nice thing about these clocks is it comes in a lot of different colors for the outside, but also LEDs. I know there's a green one. I think there's a red one. There's all different kinds of clocks and colors and configurations, which is really cool. It kind of reminds me of N64s. Going on a tangent here, but all the different colors you could get back in the day. So if you want to pause for whatever reason, you just single press, do whatever you need to do, reset your game, and then you start right back up. One thing to note that this will store the time here. So if the game ends and we're at 5 seconds. If it happens, the next game starts up and this person goes to them again, it will do 5 seconds again, so make sure to reset that for them. And let's say we pause here and the game or match is over. We want to go back to the beginning or a new match. You just double tap and it resets your clock. So you're all set to go then. So this one, there's a lot of settings. There's a lot you can do with it. It's probably the most complicated of the 3 I'm showing, but it is my favorite. There's a lot you can do with it. One thing to note, that if you do want to change your time quickly and you don't want to really go into all the menus and everything, you can quickly do that by holding down like normal here and then entering into your time and then changing it, and then you're good to go. So then you don't have to go in through the full menus again. So you can just quickly go into just your time and not the full menu. All right, that's all I have for this episode. Hopefully you found some enjoyment and you got some education out of it. And ultimately, hopefully you're feeling a little bit more prepared to bring a clock into your own home games and casual games, or for your first tournament. I know I'm still very anxious with clocks, and it's something that takes time and repetition and basically just going through it. Or maybe it's not an issue at all and you just wanted to know what it was about. Either way, hopefully you got something from this video. And if you are interested in getting any of these clocks, I have them linked below in the description. And until the next one, take care.